Hey there, Internet! Welcome to the Hard On Gear channel, where I discuss and review my used and abused knives and gear, so that you know what is or isn't worth spending your hard-earned money on. Okay, so this is definitely the top 3 most excited I've ever been to open a knife. Maybe top 3 most excited I've ever been to open a box. So, this is the Paramilitary 2. This title's kind of giving it away already. This is probably the most popular folding knife of all time. Is that too bold a statement? People in the comment section, please let me know if you think there's a knife that tops this as far as what's been sold more and what's been reviewed more. What's probably the most reputable and most popular folding knife. I think it's safe to say that if you've ever looked at pocket knives, you've probably come across Spyderco, and you've probably, of course, come across the Paramilitary 2. I've never owned one, I've never handled one. I knew it was going to happen before too long, and at my birthday past year not too long ago, so I decided, hey, treat myself and get myself a Paramilitary 2 finally. Since I ordered this from Atlantic Knives over in the east coast of Canada, where I am born and raised, it came with this Velcro patch and a couple of stickers. Now, not that I want to drive you away from here, but they've got a pretty sweet YouTube channel too. So this is just your typical Spyderco packaging, trademark Spyderco box. I only know that from my amzn.to, which I picked up 6 months ago. But let's see what we're looking at. So you'll notice, oh yeah, I got the full blacked out version, which is definitely one of the more popular ones. Oh, wow, okay, so right off the bat, first impression wise, this is quite a bit more different than the amzn.to. I'm not going to handle it too much yet. I'm just going to bask in its glory for a moment. The amzn.to and the Benchmade Osborne 940-2 were the 3 big competitors as far as what I was looking for my new EDC. I figured it was probably between these two, with the Benchmade 940-2 just a little too light duty for the kind of stuff that I like to do with my knives. But oh, these were the 3 finals, and I knew that I wanted to pick them up before too long. The YouTube channel was a great reason/excuse to splurge on a couple of these other kind of knives around that mid-range price of around $200-ish. I don't typically spend money on knives that range because I know that I'm going to use them and beat them up, and I'd rather just not because I might lose them too. I'm pretty bad at that kind of stuff. Now that these two are in front of me, the differences are a lot more stark than they seem to appear on the videos that I've watched. But you know, just the feel and hand of this is already so much different than what the amzn.to is. The amzn.to is amazing, and I remember opening this up and just feeling like, wow, this is one beefy piece of steel I'm hanging on to. And you know, this is a little bit lighter, a little bit sleeker, or slicker, a little bit slimmer. That's maybe the word I'm looking for. And this compression lock, I'm really excited to try. I actually almost didn't notice it because of the blackout. So let's, oh, that was my first time Spidey flicking open a Paramilitary 2. Now that was actually pretty exciting, and that felt pretty good. And this feels pretty good. My goodness. Okay, so initial thoughts here are definitely, I'm used to having that amzn.to in my hand, so it feels small in my hand by comparison. You know what, I'm just going to cut this zip tie off right quick. You're going to notice that I've got that on there just for that little quick deploy thing. Check the card out up here if you want to see that video. I'm just going to grab a little squirt here. Let's see if I can't do this without hurting myself or the tool. Perfect. Cool. Thanks, squirt. There, I've been testing that out for a few days. I might throw another one on after, but I'll probably be rocking this for at least a couple of weeks just to test it out. Yeah, the differences are drastic now that I've got them both in my hands. Wow, and definitely a huge difference up at that thumb choil position, I guess you'd call it. The jimping is just as aggressive, if not maybe just a little more aggressive because it's brand spanking new out of the factory. But they're definitely both very grippy, both well jimped. Definitely not as over jimped as the amzn.to is, but that extra big hump to give it that typical pelican-like shape to it. Well, it's stopping your thumb from ever moving forward past that, and this is definitely very precise. The clip point style blade is a little bit more upswept, so I can definitely see how I don't have that precision of the tip, which I kind of like. I don't know why, but for what reason I like being able to line my thumb up like that with the tip of the blade a little bit easier. Not that you can't with this. Still pretty precise, still very utilitarian and handy for all kinds of stuff. Now, here's the real fun thing. Ball bearing lock, compression lock. Let's not hurt myself here. So, by the way, left-handed. I didn't order the left-handed version because I'm going to be ordering all kinds of compression lock Spydercos over the years, so I want to make sure I just get used to this one. So typically it would be over on your index finger side. You close it with your index finger and go whook. Me, I've got to do it a little bit differently, and I just need to get used to this hand position. And I could even do it like this, I suppose. Yeah, so this is awkward right now, I will say. As a left-handed person trying this for the first time, let's see if I do it with my right hand. Super, super natural. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, slick. So with this one, I'm just gonna have to, because I've heard people doing this like this with the thumb, and yeah, just flicking it open like that. Okay, and it's just got to get used to that hand position, which actually isn't that much difference from these knives. I remember opening the Benchmade 940-2 trying to do the reverse flick. Took a long time for me to figure out where to put my damn finger so that it wasn't blocking the axis lock. Mannix 2, kind of same thing with the ball bearing lock. Kind of had to get used to the hand position and get in a way where it's easy to put your pinky or your ring finger here and then to go to close it, which is a bad idea, quite obviously. So it just takes a little bit of time with each different knife. So before I handle this too much more or play around with the lock anymore, I'm going to switch this pocket clip around. I don't know why this comes tipped down. I guess maybe it's just the way they like to do the paramilitary twos, but I'm going to switch that real quick and then maybe I'll have a little better grip. I'm not sure how it's going to work. Okay, so still got this cheap little thing. I really need to grab that stupid wee Hobbit driver, but now I've got, I'm assuming it's T6. Yeah, it's all T6 on the, oh no, actually the bodies look like they're T7s maybe. And then, no, T8 for the pivot and the body. No, what the hell? There are 3 different size Torx heads on here. So there's your T8 for the bodies, a T10 for the pivot, and the freaking pocket screws are this itty-bitty T6. My goodness. Yeah, okay, this feels way more natural in my hand already. That pocket clip in the tip-up position is much more where I like to have it. Didn't feel right up there at all. So let's just see. Okay, God, that feels good. And let's just, okay. So this actually, this pocket clip being over where it should be for the way I like to carry it, actually gives my pinky something to rest on. And now I can actually use that compression lock way more comfortably as a left-handed person. So it's still going to take a while to get my hands used to it, but hey, look at that. Fidget friendly indeed, and it's not even broken in yet. So I paid $220 Canadian for this knife. You can get it on Blade HQ for I believe around like $160, somewhere in that ballpark. The $20 extra for the black DLC coated black hardware, black pocket clip, black liners, black compression lock. It's fully blacked out except for the surface of the blade, which I know military and spec op folks, anyone who's doing clandestine night operations and stuff, you'd typically like put a little bit of marker on the end of that blade so that you couldn't see it reflected or being picked up in the IR strobe and getting accidentally hit by your own aerial support. Anyways, not my world yet anyways, and definitely interesting if you're into that kind of stuff, completely irrelevant and super tactical and nerdy if you're not. I'll also say that I'm not planning on carrying this for self-defense or tactical purposes or anything like that at all, as that is 100% illegal in Canada. This is a tool, not a weapon. This knife is made to cut things, not people. I just very much enjoy that blacked out black on black hardware, and I just don't like the flashy satin clips and stuff popping out of my front of my pocket. So I'd carried this thing around for a long old time, the Recon 1 in AUS 8. The black DLC's worn off quite a bit, and I just lubed up the pivot not long ago, so that is shiny and full of oil, but this is pretty worn down over 8 years. I don't know how the Paramilitary 2 is going to hold up in contrast to the DLC that's on this. They definitely feel different. This feels very much like it's worn right into the blade steel, like it's very, very hard and very, very, well, diamond-like. This here feels a little more like the SE Azula 2, which has got the powder coating, which is not DLC, and it can be scraped off there with a little bit of effort. Sick EDC fixed blade, if you're not aware, by the way. I hear there's a pretty good review for it right up there. And if you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to hit the like button down there. Yeah, just to look at that size comparison right there, it's definitely going to be a lot smaller and a lot less, well, not a lot less, but at least a little less scary than the Recon 1. There's no doubt about it. The satin hardware and blade make this look a little bit more like a tool and like a little bit more of, I don't know, you want to say a collector's piece, but just an EDC knife that people would assume, wow, that guy must be a knife nerd or something. That looks way too expensive and dumb. Why would he buy that? Something like these tend to look a little more tactical, maybe because they're designed to be kind of tactical. Well, many knives have many purposes, and while these knives are great tools, if you are military, law enforcement, anything like that where you might need some kind of a stabby, sharp, slicey tool, and you don't want to be seen or noticed, that's probably the way to go. I'm gonna put these aside for a second, and we're just gonna look at what else is in this box right quick, but I assume it's just your same Spyderco Oh, okay, look at that. All paramilitary 2s, yep. And a little history of the paramilitary 2. I'm going to read through all that, and I'll make sure I give you a full, comprehensive background and all the details you're ever going to want to know about this knife in my full review whenever I have that done. Sometime in the next few months, I want to make sure I get to know this knife pretty good before I go talking about it. Take a picture of that if you'd like. There's all your different versions, by the way. There's the original S30V black with the G10. This is the black G10, black DLC coded S30V, the Digicam S30V, Digicam Black Blade S30V, S90V with the blue scales, I think, or it's S110. I'm sure. I'll pop it up here when I know which one's right. And that would be the gray Maximate, if I'm not mistaken. And there's the back if you want to see the picture of the warranty and all that other information on there. And I know some of you knife nerds are really big on specs, so I'm just going to cut this in. I jumped ahead. I've already looked at it, watched the rest of the video to see how I reacted. But the specs, if you want to know them right quick, the overall length of this thing is 8.25 inches. The blade is 3.44 inches. Cutting edge of about 3 inches when you take out that giant finger choil up here in the front. It's a blade thickness of 0.14 inches. Blade thickness behind the edge, 0.14 inches. Clip point versus the Manix 2 and its spear point style blade. It's got a full flat grind, which is more like the Manix 2. That's just that one single bevel all the way down to the cutting edge. The length of the handle is 4.8. The spec sheet's telling me 4.81 inches. And the thickness of the handle is just under half an inch at 0.46. 4-way pocket clip. It comes tip down right hand side, which I switched over to the left hand side, tip up, which is the way I carry my knives. I'm left handed. There's a compression lock over here, which is the patented Spyderco locking system, which works kind of like a liner lock but in reverse. So I'll do it like a normal right hand person. You depress that with your finger and it closes on you. So cool, this is awesome. I think I'm going to be a big fan of this. It's going to take a little while for me to get used to the difference in hand. Unfortunately, I can't give you what a lot of people have when they first handle the paramilitary 2, which is, wow, this is probably the comfiest knife in my hand that I've ever handled. The Manix 2, I think, is still just a little more comfortable, a little more ergonomic for my hand shape and size, perhaps, but this is, I think, the Manix 2 XL, when I finally get it, which is closer to the size of the Recon 1. That Manix 2 XL is going to be, I think, probably the perfect folding knife for me. But I think just in my initial, like, it's hard right now because I'm biased. I've been carrying this every day for the last 6 months, and I'm pretty damn used to this in my hand. But the finger position's nice. The finger choil's a little bit larger. Yeah, definitely a little bit larger. They both have probably the biggest spider holes of any freaking Spyderco knife in existence. The rest aren't quite that large. These are the only 2 Spydercos I have so far to compare with. Both made in Golden, Colorado, USA. That's the USA plant, which is cool. I like to have stuff that's all made in North America. It makes me feel good, makes the knife makers feel good, makes the people who aren't in slave shops making these knives feel good. That was a little dramatic. They're getting paid, they're just not getting paid a ton. One thing I was really excited about when I finally got this next Spyderco, and specifically the paramilitary 2, it's supposed to have some of the best cutting performance of just about any folder in this price range. Blade stock is fairly similar to the Manix 2. The grinds are both flat. But I dare say, I think the Manix 2 is supposed to be a little bit beefier, and it's supposed to slice not quite as well as the paramilitary 2. Now, when I got this thing out of the box, unfortunately it was before I started this channel, so I didn't record it, but let me tell you, the slicing of this, just with the typical piece of printer paper, was just scary compared to any other knife I've used. I did touch this up on the strop not long ago, but I don't know if it's, yeah, not super sharp at the moment. This is my daily user along with the Azula 2 and the Leatherman Squirt, so it gets quite a bit of use. The tip is pretty darn well worn off of it, like it doesn't penetrate plastic wrap like it used to, so that's got to be touched up here soon. You're doing a sharpening video actually where I go through this whole process of trying to reprofile this. It might not go too well either, and I might make a mess of it, so feel free to check that out once that's posted. But it still definitely will slice, it's just not, you can see that it's the edge is rough and it's tearing. So now in comparison to this brand spanking new out of the box from the factory paramilitary 2, let's test it out first with the push cut. Okay, so that's good. Oh yeah, there's just something special, and this is so stupid to some people, but this is it just feels so good to be able to just push through paper like that and know that this is so sharp. You don't need to go in the diagonal fashion where it slices through so well. Oh, Now here's the thing I was really excited to do, the S-cut, which with the Manix 2, I've never been able to do that with a pocket knife before. The Benchmade 940-2, anything like that, just hasn't held up to the way that thing cut when it was brand new. Let's see if the Paramilitary 2 can do it. Oh, yeah. I got a little tear there at the end when my page bent, but yeah, so that's not something you can do with a knife unless it's razor sharp, which it's not going to be for long if I don't stop brashing it against other metal things. Now, knowing that I'm probably never going to be able to sharpen a knife well enough by hand to do I guess to get an S-cutting sharp edge, I'm just going to enjoy this one more time. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Look at that thing. Oh my goodness. And that tip has got a lot of, I don't know what you want to call it, but staying power. Like it just keeps on slicing when the rest of the blade's done. Oh, I mean, look at the difference in those cuts between what I could do with that Manix 2 once it's worn down. That's not to say one blade's better than the other, and I'm sure at some point I'll be doing an awesome comparison video between these two, because those are two of Spyderco's, probably their top work knives, and very near the top of that, at least in that price range of $200. Canadian, probably closer to $150 in American dollars. But both S30V, both G10, both Spyderco, both very similar in size, shape, and use. Just you got spear point versus the clip point, a little thicker, beefier blade with a bit of a more robust tip. Not robust enough for me, apparently, but the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 is a little more of a fine slicer. But again, don't let this fool you. The Manix 2 cut just as well as that through paper when that was brand spanking new out of the box. Okay, so I'm already getting much more used to this, and the compression lock is getting very smooth already. It's just taken a few deployments for that to really break in, and I'm sure it's only going to get better with time. And I'm getting much more used to holding my hand in the position where I can use it as a left-handed person. So really no inconvenience. No issues there. Feeling good. I don't actually think I've thumb deployed this yet, so there we go. That hole is so easy to hit. Not the Manix 2's is not. The way the scale comes and hits that hole, it actually does kind of make it a little bit more of an issue. Like you can still get to it very easily with your thumb, but it kind of doesn't make you be able to get contact with it the same way as the Paramilitary 2. Yeah, there's nothing there stopping your thumb from getting full contact with that, especially with a pair of gloves on. I bet you this would be even better. So really phenomenal job, Eric Glesser, Sal Glesser. This is again, the most popular folding knife in the world. I don't even think I'm overstepping anything by saying that. It's kind of almost a general consensus, is it not? And this is going to help me with a lot of what I was looking for when I started this channel here about 6 months ago, was to try and pick up a lot of the standard knives that I've not had a chance to use yet, that a lot of you folks are familiar with, for my own use. Some of it's just for size comparisons, but the other thing is to be able to be a knife enthusiast and a knife channel content creator, I guess you could say, and not ever have purchased, used, handled, and abused some of these knives. I don't think it would be, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd feel ridiculous. So here we go. We got the Paramilitary 2. Eventually I'll get the Para 3, which will add that size comparison. We've got the Rat Model 1, Rat Model 2. Let's open that PM2 up, Spidey Flick style. And the Manix 2 along with the Paramilitary 2, which, oh God, so excited to have both of these now. I cannot wait to do a comparison between these. The Recon 1, which is my long-term buddy, and then another one which was, again, a very close competitor for these two, that Osborne 940-2, very popular, if not one of the most popular Benchmade models. And some other things like the 03BS M16 from CRKT and the Kershaw Blur in M4. Oh, and we can't forget the other cold steel folder in my collection, the Luzon. Okay, so there we go. We got some of the classic models now that I can start getting a little more used to and make some good size comparisons. Also, tons of different fixed blades that I've got going on here. More of a fixed blade guy for my work, more of a folding knife guy for my everyday carry, but I'm getting a little more into some of these different things that I don't typically do, like neck knives and stuff. So keep an eye out for the different reviews and comparisons and different breaking downs of different knives, styles, sharpening, materials, all that kind of stuff as the channel progresses. For now, I think this is pretty much, well, actually, you know what, I'll end it with a clean table. Much better. So now we've got the PM2 here, which is going to be in my pocket for at least the next 2 weeks, maybe longer. I don't know if it's going to replace the Manix yet, but we're going to find out. I gotta say, the black on black is really doing it for me, and as far as something that I can see myself carrying, this is in the top 5 probably folding knives ever that I see myself using on a regular basis. If you're interested in purchasing one of these, you can check out the Amazon affiliate links down below in the description. There's also a Patreon link if you're looking to support the channel, and I can guarantee you that all the money raised through that Patreon account will be put into more knives and gear and stuff that I can use and abuse. Again, subscribe and like and all that if you haven't, and I'll be doing a knife giveaway at 1,000 subscribers, something along the lines of the PM2, the Mannix 2, Cold Steel Recon 1, something that I believe you could use and abuse to a decent extent, something that's fairly rugged, well built, and from a reputable company. And keep an eye out for all the videos in the future where this thing is going to be a regular on the channel. I have a feeling that me and the paramilitary 2 will become very good friends. So in the meantime, you can check out my full Mannix 2 review if you want to see everything I've learned about that knife in the first few months and get all the details and specs that you'd ever want to know about that knife. Or you can check out the playlist of all my other unboxings over in the corner here. That is it for this one, and thank you again for watching. This is the Hard On Gear channel, signing off.